That's why the World Economic Forum and things along those lines are so fascinating, because you can see that they're the ones that are holding the strings that dangle the narratives in front of the people, that make them attractive. And then you realize, like, well, this is not our real problem. Our problem is not really these narratives. Our problem is who's promoting these narratives and what are they doing while they're promoting that and we're distracted. Well, they're trying to institute a centralized digital currency. They're trying to, give people vaccine passports and some sort of a social credit score system. They're trying to do all sorts of weird methods of control that you're not going to be able to get out of it if you're on the left or if you're on the right. It's going to fuck up everybody's life. And in the meantime, we're arguing about who's right, Greta Thunberg or Andrew Tate.
Right.
Like, it's like these distractions that they put in front of us in the media that get us so hyped up while real shit is going down, that there's real decisions that could be made that might affect you forever. The amount of freedom you have, your ability to travel, your ability, like in China, you say the wrong thing, you can't buy a plane ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go anywhere. Sorry, you're not allowed to buy a home. We saw you tweet about something we found disagreeable.
Well, we have to worry about that now too in the States, though, right? You have to worry if you cross a certain line. Are they going to make it difficult for you to process your credit card transactions?
Will you be unemployable?
Yeah. Like, will you not be able to use PayPal anymore?
Right.
It's stuff like that that kind of creeping dystopian sort of systems of control. It's a big news story, and I think people recognize that it's a serious thing, but we don't see it talked about very much in the corporate press because, again, they're in favor of it, right? So
yeah.
But I'm terrified by all that stuff.
I noticed that during the pandemic, there was a doctor that had a heart attack immediately after taking his second shot of, I think it was Moderna. And so I was like, what is that about? And this was like very early on. And I Googled it. I could not find it. I could not find the story. And then I went to DuckDuckGo immediately. And I was like, whoa, this is wild. Like, they're hiding this story.
Right.
So they would hide certain stories because they thought that they would increase vaccine hesitancy. Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's
terrifying.
Right.
You're carrying water for the pharmaceutical companies, which is really spooky. Because, you want to talk about the people that have had, like, the biggest criminal fines in U.S. history. And they've been lying about the adverse effects of their medications forever.
Right.
Withholding information in order to gain a profit. And then you're hiding stories.
Right.
That may implicate them in someone's death. It might be somehow or another involved. Like, we don't know. And you're just hiding it? Why are you hiding that story? I Googled Florida doctor adverse reaction vaccine heart attack instantly on DuckDuckGo. I get all these articles about this guy that died. Couldn't find shit on Google.
Wow. Well, look, they've gotten very sophisticated in their ability to suppress certain things.
Really were no weapons of mass destruction, and we really did start a war for nothing that really did kill somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 million innocent people.
Right. It's over a fake news story.
Yeah, over a fake news story.
There should be sorrow,
yeah.
You know what I mean, within news organizations about a mistake of that magnitude.
And the fact there's no repercussions, and the people were promoted that promoted that very same story that led to the public support of it, of the war.
Yeah, and not only did we promote the people who got that story wrong, except in that one case with Judy Miller who was sort of villainized, but people were fired who were questioning it. Like Phil Donahue had a show, a very highly rated show on MSNBC at the time. He lost his job. Jesse,
what did he say?
He was just very critical of the war effort. He didn't believe the whole thing, and he thought.
And that's why he lost the show?
Yeah, they took him off the air.
Wow.
Jesse Ventura will tell you the story. He lives in a compound in Mexico.
Yeah.
Casa MSNBC, he calls it, because they hired him thinking that because he was a former Navy SEAL, he was going to be pro-war. When they found out on the phone that he didn't feel that way, that he was very skeptical of the whole thing. They basically bought out his contract. They just paid him the balance and said, thanks, but no thanks. And, we're not going to want that show of yours. So he was right. But he, instead of going on the air, he got a mansion in Mexico, like, so, the business has a history of doing stuff like this, but at least in the WMD episode, they had the decency to admit now, like a decade later, we screwed that up. It has the reputation of being a media mistake. They haven't done that yet with the Russia stuff.
Well, the WMD thing, though, there's no repercussions because over time, everybody had kind of either forgotten about it or been overwhelmed by news stories. And when the WMD came out, when that sort of thing came out at the beginning of the war, you're also dealing with a very different internet. And the news cycle wasn't as extreme and dynamic. Like nowadays, things that happen, like no one gives a shit that Epstein was murdered and that the cameras were shut off and that there's no list of all the people that went to the island. That's just gone. There's too much new stuff to come that it's in front of your eyes that you have to pay attention to.
Right.
That's the news cycle.
We do need a few more answers on that one, I think.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild.